geographic regions hidden underground kingdom known as Shambhala. Shambhala has played a role in nearly every Tibetan tradition, and surrounding geographic regions such as Mongolia, India, and China have direct mythological parallels to this inner earth civilization of technologically and spiritually advanced, godlike people. The Roriks, Russian expatriates funded by the Americans, were serious believers in the legend of Shambhala. During their 5-year expedition, they disappeared somewhere in the Himalayas for more than 12 months. No one is sure what the Roriks actually did in this period of time, with only sparse journal entries describing a sighting of a flying saucer and the receival of some magical stone, among other bizarre events most would label as fantasy. Though their expedition was publicly labeled a failure, it's likely that wasn't true at all, because in 1933, the office of the US President Franklin Delano Roosevelt funded a second expedition in which they again completely disappeared for 3 months in the Himalayas. I'm Mr. Mythos, and I'll be your guide to the Rorik search for Shambhala. Shambhala has been called by many names in different cultures, the most famous being Agartha. In fact, Shambhala is often said to be Agartha's capital city, Agartha being an extensive subterranean network of advanced civilizations that escaped some cataclysm thousands of years ago. I previously investigated the legend of Agartha in detail, and I'll leave a link to that video at the end. The most ancient Hindu and Buddhist scriptures speak of Shambhala as if it actually exists. It has a specified lineage of 32 rulers, a population of at least 20,000 when the city was built, and a geopolitical history recorded in the ancient Buddhist text, the Kalachakra Tantra. Moreover, it's believed the same civilization was described by the pre-Buddhist religion of Tibet, known as Bon, which states the entrance as being west of Mount Kailash. Despite most Buddhists today asserting that Shambhala exists in a purely spiritual dimension, it's clear that in many early traditions, Shambhala was believed to be physically accessible. It's only a matter of finding the hidden kingdom in one of the most uncharted and extreme regions in the world, the Himalayan mountains. Undoubtedly, the only people equipped for such a dangerous and esoteric mission were Nicholas and Helena Rorik, two of the greatest mystics to have ever lived, and they might have actually found it. Nicholas and Helena Rorik were incredibly capable individuals. Both were writers. Nicholas was a renowned painter and archaeologist, and Helena was a translator and philosopher. That requires some skills, which you too can obtain through Skillshare, a community with thousands of classes to discover new interests and deepen existing passions. Now, I'm not endorsing that you set out like the Roriks in search of a hidden subterranean kingdom, but Skillshare teaches everything from travel journaling to wilderness survival. Wherever your journey takes you, Skillshare has the tools to keep you focused and motivated and inspired through any challenge. The first 1,000 of you to click my link in the description, Share and Khadija teach Mr. Dressed in the robes of a Dalai Lama, a man many times called the Russian Leonardo da Vinci arrived in the frostbitten cold of Darjeeling, British India, a city of tea plantations and Buddhist monasteries at the foot of the eastern Himalayan mountains. It was December 1923. His name was Nicholas Rorik. Hoisting an American flag tied to a Mongolian spear, he spoke with a thick Russian accent, convincing local authorities that he was leading an archaeological expedition to document the art and culture of Central Asia. This was a half-truth. His journals, paintings, and the bizarre events of their journey provide overwhelming evidence that the Roriks' true purpose was to locate the entrance to Shambhala. With Nicholas was his wife Helena, their son George, and a crew of 6 associates. Their journey would span 5 years, 35 mountain passes, 21,000 feet of elevation, and 15,000 miles of uncharted roads. And by the end, 5 of them would die. The Himalayas are one of the coldest, most mountainous, uncharted, and utterly inhospitable regions on Earth. To make matters worse, a decade prior, Tibet had become an independent war-torn state after the collapse of China's Qing dynasty, and closed itself off from the rest of the world. Foreigners caught in Tibet could expect to be enslaved, tortured, and likely killed. And beyond draconian authorities, the mountains were riddled with bandit groups and rogue warlords. It was less of a family preference than a vital strategy that the Rorik's eldest son, George, was in charge of keeping them alive. On top of being a notable Tibetologist who could speak the local dialects, he was a very skilled military tactician. So they set off. Nicholas documented this journey in two separate diaries, one purely scientific and the other highly esoteric. He also created over 500 paintings. And whether or not they knew it, they were being followed and monitored by British, American, and Soviet spies, at least until they disappeared. From extreme winds and scurvy to caravan looters and poison grass which killed their horses, Nicholas's diaries reflected uncertainties as they crossed the Taklamakan Desert.
Is the heart of Asia beating, or has it been suffocated by the sands?